Hi, Mike from Single Handed Solutions. Thanks for watching. If you've been following the page on YouTube and on Facebook, you've seen probably about 4 or 5 videos that I posted up about my time at Tactical Response's Fighting Pistol class last month. And I've gotten a lot of questions from some people asking me what I've been using and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to give you a quick overview and a couple words here or there on what I used and why. Each piece of equipment will get its own review later on down the road, but for right now I just kind of wanted to tell you guys a little bit of what I was using. So first thing is my pistol. I only have a couple, and this is one of them, a Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm Viking Tactics Edition. This firearm is completely stock with the exception of a grip stippling that I had done by Evolution Defense Group. Calvin Evolution Defense Group does a lot of work for Rifle Dynamics. If you guys have ever bought any of their rifles, you've probably seen a lot of his work done. So I will do a review on all the stuff that I have done by him in the near future. The only other thing is the Streamlight TLR1 light that I had put on it, and that was the only thing that didn't work very well, and that was because I didn't realize it till I got it home that I actually broke it. Okay, and you can actually see right there where the lens is cracked, and if it's covered up by carbon and stuff like that, but it's broken to 5 or 6 different pieces, and that was from it landed when we were dropping the guns on purpose. It landed just perfectly right on the edge, and it shattered the glass, but the light still works, so it's not a problem. It still works. I'll see what Streamlight does, or I'll send him an email and say, hey, what the hell. But I wanted to let you guys know that I have shot probably over 4,500 rounds through this gun before I took it to the class, and this thing was dirty before I took it to the class. In other words, I shot about 350 rounds through it since my last clean before I went to the class, and did about probably 850 to 950 rounds through the class and had 0 malfunctions. Everything worked just fine. So I'll talk a little bit down the road about the kind of cleaning products that I use and lubrication and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the gun. Worked just fine, no problems. The only problem that I had was one of the magazines. So if I can grab one out here real quick without dumping the table of stuff that I have. One of the magazines got a little bit of sand in it, and it was binding up the follower in it. I had about maybe 5 rounds left, and it wasn't feeding all the way up properly. Here in Oregon, I mostly train in either an indoor range or outdoor range that has a bunch of like Midas rock and stuff like that, so there's not a lot of sand in the areas that I shoot, so this was a good test. None of my other magazines had a problem with it getting kicked around in the dust and the sand and dirt and everything they have down there in Tennessee, but for some reason one of the magazines did, so I just didn't use it for the rest of the class. I was too lazy and didn't want to clean it, afterwards. But they work just fine. Well, obviously I'll clean them now, but that was the only problem in terms of gun problems that I had. As for a holster, I've been using the Bravo Concealment RTT holster. It's a 90°, so 0 cant. It has 1.5 inch fixed belt loops. You actually have to weave your belt through it. This worked really well. I had a couple of people ask me while I was racking the slide off the front of my belt instead of off the holster. Well, a couple of reasons for it. For one, that's what they asked me to do during the class, and I wanted to learn and perfect my skill set in terms of working the slide off the front of my belt. And also, we're moving left and right off the X. I was bumping into people, and anybody on my right side, if I bumped into them and then I had to clear my function, I didn't want to sweep them with the sidearm. Obviously, you can see all the chew marks right there. This thing has actually had some slide, bites into it. So it does work. But I'll talk about this holster a little bit more later. The other reason I didn't is this thing actually does flex a little bit. So you can actually see that. It can actually flex. So sometimes the gun would slip off a little bit, and whereas my belt obviously didn't. So that's the only other reason. As for magazine pouches, you guys can see as the Bravo Concealment double mag pouch has a nice little tension screw right there. A lot of scratches, no breaks or anything on the holster or the magazine pouch. Everything stayed where it needed to be. Rolling around on the dirt a few times that we did, none of the magazines fell out, and when they came out, when I wanted them to, they did. Obviously I carry this at the 5 o'clock position, rounds facing backwards, so right behind my holster. That way I can just grab a magazine out the back, rotate it 90 degrees, insert it into the gun, and get back into the game. So worked out great. One question that I did get, and a person on the YouTube page actually made a comment saying that my hearing protection was on backwards. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about that. For one, I use the Howard Light Impact Sports. They're not very expensive. But he was telling me, the microphones face towards the front, and there's a microphone on each side. The reason I have them face the way I do to the 6 o'clock is, if you're at a class or anything like that, where your instructor is going to be. There were 4 instructors / range officers on the line that were given directions and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure that I wanted to hear each and every one of them. The other reason, and more importantly, is the volume control is technically on the left side. So if I had them the way I was supposed to wear them, okay, by the manufacturer, I'd have to reach all the way over, and not just in front of my ear, but behind my ear in order to adjust the volume. And I don't like doing that, so I put them this way. Like I said, I've been using these for a couple of years now in all weather conditions. I actually take them hunting with me because it amplifies the sound around me. So that's why I wear them the way I do. So no harm, no foul, but that's basically it. The other thing that I used are these Oakley gas cans. These are their OD Green Cerakote version from their standard issue department. I like these a lot because they're pretty flat on the ear portion side. So when you're wearing these, you don't have any temple pressure when you're wearing electronic hearing protection. I've worn some other Oakleys, some other glasses in the past that are, for lack of a better term, thicker or more bulbous, and they kind of dig into your temples or leave a gap in between your hearing protection, and it's not good. Also, these lenses are really easy for me to pop out and put in like clear ones or different colored lenses if I want to. And these are actually my everyday / range sunglasses. I wear these all the time, and I really like these a lot. So, good stuff with Oakley. And of course, they're ballistic rated lenses, which you should have, and they have great clarity to them. So. The only other thing that I had during the class that I'd consider standard equipment would be my belt. I have an SOE EDC belt. I will do a review on that later. I've had that belt for over 2 years, and it's never failed me. It's worked really well. Before that, I was just using regular belts and stuff like that from like Walmart or Macy's or whatever, and they weren't doing a very good job of holding up the guns. But I bit the bullet, spent some money, and got a nice belt, and it works really well. In the videos, you guys seen the little Velcro retention strap that you use to adjust your waist on the belt. Kind of came loose a couple times, but that didn't loosen up the belt in any way. Obviously, that's just from me shallow hooking the rear of my slide on the belt. So that was basically it for standard equipment. Outside that, just regular t-shirt, shorts, some Salomon running shoes. The only thing I wish I would have brought was a gator neck just to protect my neck from the sun. Got a little sunburn on the back of the neck a few times, and knee pads. Obviously you guys saw in some of the other videos I had like some knee pads on from day 2. James let me borrow a pair of his. Thank you to him. But before that, on day 1, when I didn't have them, that's where you guys saw that stack of targets that were kind of at the base of me when I'm doing the supine prone, getting up to knee and all that. So definitely knee pads. That's about it for gear. Like I said, I will do further reviews on this stuff down the road a little bit, and some of the things I like and do not like about it. Hope you guys like what you saw. Please make sure you don't just subscribe here on YouTube, like and share the videos, with your friends, which I really appreciate you doing, but you also do it on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, Single Handed Solutions, where I post up a lot of content and stuff that I can't put on YouTube. So I've reached over 3,000 subscribers today. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Please also do me a favor and like and subscribe to Tactical Response and James Yeager on them on Facebook and YouTube. He puts out a lot of good content, and he's been a really big supporter of mine from the beginning. He's the one that actually kind of convinced me to kind of start doing this along with some of my other friends. So I really appreciate the support. Hope you guys have a good day, and remember, 3 out of 4 ain't bad.